Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I am going to provide the answer of the weekly challenge which I have posted this week. In case you were able to successfully complete the challenge and you have shared me the answer, congratulations for adding something on your skill. In case you were not able to complete the solution and you are still looking for the answer, you are in the correct video. In this video, I am going to code this problem statement in a step-by-step manner. So, in case you are struggling, you can watch this video and you will get the solution for the problem statement. In case you are coming to the channel for the first time and you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel to get the next videos in this series. So this was the challenge for this week, TBMK0006. The name of the challenge was dynamic folder structure and the file creation, and the concept was file and folder automation. I am not going to detail of the problem statement because that we have already explained in the problem statement video. I have the link of the problem statement in the description for your reference, right? But the idea of this challenge was that we have to create a folder structure in the My Documents of our computer. The folder structure should be year, month and date, and inside the date folder we should have a notepad file. The name of the notepad file should have the time in terms of hour, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. This should be the format, and we have to populate the notepad file with some of the text, right? There are some of the best practices which I was expecting, such as proper exception handling, error handling. In case any exception arise, the automation should tell that yes, what is wrong with the automation. Error handling, clear explanation, correct folder structure should be created, right? So all of that we have already explained in the first video. So this video is going to be the solution video for this problem statement. Okay, so today I am going to share you two solutions for this challenge. One would be the step-by-step automation which I have done, that is with the help of flowcharts. The other would be one of the winning solution which I found was pretty good in terms of the challenge solving, right? It was a quite different. So both the solution I would share to you in this video. Okay, so before I go to this structure, I just saw that whenever people were doing this automation, right, some of you have done it with using multiple if branches, which means if, else, else if, else, else if, right? Now the problem with that, it is difficult to manage, and whenever we have such kind of automation, we should always prefer something which is called a flowchart. The second thing is, many of you have just used a create folder activity and it was not showing me that if the folder is already created, I was not getting a notification that the folder is already available, right? So that means there was no proper logging mechanism. Some solution I was going through where the exceptions were actually arised and then continue an error was set to true, which means that the automation is throwing an exception and we are suppressing that exception and we are generating just a log message. That is also not correct, right? Anytime you are writing an automation, you should always think from the end user point of view that what happens, let's say in this case, if the year folder or the month folder is already created and we ignore the exception or we simply suppress the exception, how is the end user going to know that what has happened to the automation, right? So that's why it is important to write a logic from the perspective of the end user, which take care of the logging, proper exception handling and covering of the exceptional scenarios as well. Okay, having said that, let's jump to the first solution, which is done with the help of flowcharts. Okay, so I am in my UiPath Studio. To start the solution, I'll come to my UiPath Studio and I'll go here and I'll create a new process. Okay, I'll call this process as TBMK0006. That's the challenge number, and I'll mention that this is the solution video. Okay, and good practice, I'll just mention that solution for weekly challenge. Okay, So here I am creating this in a single process. Whenever we are doing a real-time automation, we would always code this in framework. It could be a robotics enterprise framework, or it can be your own framework which has all the best practices already there, right? The objective here is to just give you the answer for the weekly challenge. However, we already have dedicated videos where we have explained that how you can utilize RE framework for any kind of automation, including this one. So to get started with, I am in the main sequence. So the first step here was that we need to create the folders into my documents, right? So as of now, I am working on my computer. So this is my my documents, right? And here you can see I already have my folder which is TBMK0006, and inside that we have this complete structure. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll first go and I'll delete this. Okay, now what is the idea of having the my documents? So for example, I am working into my computer. So if you see, my document path would be something like, if I just go for this folder maybe, right, properties. Okay, if you see, it's C users Mukesh, which is my computer, OneDrive, and then the documents. For you the name would be different, for different user it would be different. So the idea here was that how UiPath would be dynamically able to store this into the my documents, and for that we have an activity which is called get environment folder. Okay, so we have an activity called get environment folder. Drag and drop it here. Now this activity can give you path of all these things. It can be desktop, programs, my documents, startup, everything, right? Whichever you see here. I can get my computer, fonts, all this folder. I am interested in my documents, so I'll go here and I select my documents. Now this activity, whichever machine this automation is working, that is going to get the my document path of that computer, right? So no need to hard code. Go to the properties, and this is get environment folder for my document. The output of this activity is simply a folder path. So I'll go here, I'll hit Ctrl+K, and I'll say that this is my str underscore my doc underscore path, and that's it, right? I have got the my document path. I'll just go here, use a log message activity, good practice. I will add it as an info level log, and I'll just say here path for my document is this, plus whatever you get from the variable. Okay, so what I have got till this point, I have got the folder path for this guy, whichever my computer, right? Now what is the next thing? The next thing here is that you need to create a folder inside this directory, right? And the folder name should be TBMK0006. So if I go here, it should look something like this, TBMK0006. So that is what the automation has to create. But you have to think as a developer now, what happens if the folder is already created? So if TBMK0006 is already created, I should not go and create the folder. I should use the existing folder. If it is not available, then only I should go and create this folder. The step we need to do here is we need to check first whether the folder is available or not. If it is not available, then only you create it. If it is available, then there is no need of creating. How do you check it? So I'll go to the activity and I'll use an activity called path exist. Path exist is an activity in system file. Drag and drop it here, right? And here it's asking me what do you want to check. Okay, so now if you notice here, I can have two conditions. If the folder is available, do this. If the file is available, do that. If inside the folder the year folder is available, do this. If not available, do that. I always has an option to write this in a sequence, but that would be a bit messy, right? Second best practice, correct type of the layout. Now what I understand is that in the main sequence I got the document path, I got this, but when it comes to this implementation, I have to go in different branches, and whenever the branching structure comes, it is good to always write that automation in a flow chart, right? So I'll delete this and I'll take a flow chart. You can always write the automation in a sequence as well, but what would happen, it would be difficult to manage and it will be difficult to read and debug the issues, right? That's why whenever you start, you need to think that what is my correct type of the workflow. Is it sequence, flowchart, state machine, what it is, right? So for me, I know that it is a flowchart. So I'll go here a flowchart and I'll call this flowchart as create the folder, and I'll say create. Okay, so now this is a new flowchart. Here we would be going and checking the stuffs, right? I'll go to the activities and then I'll use the same activity here, path exist. Now path exist is going to check whether the path exists or not. Double click. Which path? I want to check whether TBMK0006 is existing or not. But if you see here, I am in this new folder, this flowchart, and my main was here, right? How do I get this to pass here? It's difficult, right? Not actually. I can go here and I can create an argument. I would say that this is my in argument, and this is the way you create reusable workflows, right? So I am creating this workflow, I can reuse it. So I am saying that anybody can use this workflow, they just have to pass the my document path. That's it, right? And in the main workflow, after this I'll invoke my document path here, right? So that we can do in a later point of time. So in UiPath, the other good part is that you can always hard code the value while you are coding, right? So we are coding the automation, so I can hard code the value here. Default value I can provide of my document, so that I no need to test it again and again, right? So I'll just go here and I'll say copy as path, and the my document path would be this, right? So this is I'm just doing so that I know that yes, my automation is working without completely writing and testing it from the scratch, right? So my document path I have created as an input argument, right? So now what we have to check, I have to check for a folder inside this drive, and the folder name should be TBMK0006. So I'll again go here and I'll create one more input argument. I'll call it the folder name. What is the folder name you want to check? TBMK0006. As of now hard coding, but we'll make sure that all of this is passed from the main workflow. Okay, so here these are the local variables. So I am checking for the folder. It is asking me, Mukesh, what is your folder path? So I'll go here, open in advanced editor, and this is the syntax. Path dot combine. Combine the path. Which path? Whatever you have in the my documents, combine that with the folder path, which is this in folder name, right? And now you check whether that folder is available or not, and that's it. So this activity is going to check for the folder. Output of this activity would be a boolean flag, exist, true or false. So I'll go here and I'll hit Ctrl+K and I'll say that is folder exist. Good practice, whenever you are writing boolean variable, name it as a question, like is the folder exist, yes, no. Do not write negative folder variable names such as is folder does not exist, right? Always try to write the conditions in a positive manner, right? We already have a dedicated playlist where I have explained all these best practices in a small 60 seconds video, right? So that are kind of a quick bites for you guys, so you can refer this playlist. So is folder exists, so I'll go here and I'll say that okay, if this activity works perfectly, I'll get to know whether the folder is available or not. We are in a flow chart, so next activity I'll take is flow decision. Inside the flow chart, connect it here, and this is now the benefit of using the flow chart. I could have done this in the sequence, but again it would be if else, else if, right? Here it's very simple. Flow decision asking me, Mukesh, what do you want to check? What is the condition? So my condition is nothing but that variable which is folder exist. So if the folder exists, what do you have to do? If the folder does not exist, what do you have to do? So I'll go here and I'll take a log message activity, connect it to this guy. In the log message activity, here info level log, and I'll say that folder exists. That's it. If it does not exist, I'll just add one more log message here. Let's make it info maybe, right? And I'll say that folder not exist, and then I would say that I am creating the folder. So this log message will make sure that yes, I get to know what is the status of the project when I am running it from the orchestrator. That's the purpose of using the log message activities, because when you run this automation in unattended mode, you should know what is happening, right? When I talk about the orchestrator, guys, in case you are absolute beginner and you have no idea how to get started, I have this dedicated course which is available on Graphy. You can purchase this course, and this is all the syllabus which I have covered in a step-by-step manner, and as of now we are offering some kind of discount as well. You would find the direct link in the description of this video. Okay, so if I'll just make it like readable. Okay, so if the path exists, which means that folder already exists, I'll just mention here and I'll say that yes, the folder exists. If it does not exist, I'll just go here and I'll say that folder does not exist, and now I have to create the folder. Now to create the folder, we have something which is called create directory. Okay, so not create directory, create folder, right? So as you can see in the system, we have something which is called create folder. So I'll drag and drop this create folder right here. You do not have to create the folder here because this side is already when the folder is not available. Create the folder, right? Now, where is the path of the folder which you want to create? So the path of the folder would be the same folder which you just checked. So I'll just copy this complete thing, go back in the create folder, just pass the complete path like this. And that's it, right? So if the folder does not exist, if the folder already exists, I say that yes, folder is available. If the folder is not available, I'll say that folder is not available, and here I am creating that folder which is TBMK0006. I'll save this and let's try to run this automation, because it's always good that you keep running the automation while you are writing. Okay, so as of now the status is the folder is already available. So I'll go here and I'll say run the file. Okay, this is just to validate that yes, we are moving in the correct direction, to not get unexpected surprises when I am getting to the end of the automation. I'll go to the output and it says that yes, folder already exists. Okay, so that's true. Now I'll go here and I'll delete this folder. Now what should happen? It should automatically create the folder and give me a message as well. Run the file. Folder does not exist, creating the folder, and you can see the folder is created here. Awesome. So the automation works till this point. Now what is the next thing which you have to do? Inside that folder, whether it is created by the automation or it is by default created, we need to check whether the year folder is available, right? So we are in the year 2023. So first we need to check whether the year folder is available or not. Again the same concept. If it is available, use the same. If it is not available, create the same, right? So after both of this is done, I have to simply check for the year folder. But the question arises, how do I know, how do I get the current year? So what I'll do is, I'll drag and drop one more activity here, path exists, and in the flowchart, the good part is you can always connect the dots like this, right? So if I say that yes, I'll just make it more readable. So this was the first stage, guys. Flow decision, the folder exists, true, false, create the folder, and then I am checking whether the year folder is available or not. I just connect it here like this, right? like this. And this one I would rename as path exist for the year folder. Now how do I check for the folder? I go to the folder, and now I have to get the path of the complete folder which was available here in this one. Copy this. I'll tell you the logic, don't worry. So here, so till this point I am only reaching the path of my documents and TBMK0006. Inside that I have to check for the year folder. So I just hit a comma here and I just put the current year. Now how do I get the current year? It's absolutely simple. Now dot date. Okay, now means current time and date. So this would give me the current date. And if I put a dot here, now I can put it as year. Now dot date dot year. Whatever you are in the current date and time, for the date get me the year. And since this complete thing is as a string, as you can see at the end it says string, so I'll just put dot to string because the path is a string, right? Now what is this final output? The final output would be my document path, which is Mukesh documents path, TBMK0006, and this guy whichever I have highlighted is going to give me 2023 because I am in the year 2023. Save this. As simple as that, right? So create path exist, check for the year folder. Now again the same concept. I'll go to the properties and the exist, I'll hit Ctrl+K. I'll say is year exist. Sorry, I missed the R. Is year exist, right? The same concept again. Go to the activities, take the flow decision, right? Drag and drop it here, and here we are again going to check in the properties that is the year folder exist or not. Again the same concept. If it is already existing, I'll just go to the activities and I'll use the log message activity. Okay, and here like this, I'll connect it to the top. Yeah, if the year folder exists, I'll just mark a info level log and I'll say that year folder exists. Okay, and if it does not exist, I'll again add a log message activity, point it from the false window. I hope you got the concept right. And in the info, I'll just mention that year folder not available and creating the folder. Correct, and that way it will create the folder. Now I have not written the code to create the folder, so I'll just go here and same activity again, create the folder, drag and drop it here, connect to this activity. Now which folder to create? Whichever you are checking for the year folder, right? I'll copy this complete, copy, go back to this create folder and paste it here. And what would happen, that this activity will go and create the folder. As simple as that, right? The same thing repeats. Once the folder is created, what is the next thing? This is for the year folder. So we have created the year folder, which is 2023. Now what is the next thing? Inside that you have to check whether the month folder is already available or not. The same concept will again repeat here, where we check for the month folder. Same concept again, we have to check. So I hope now you guys are following along. So this one I'll do it like this. So this one will again check in either case, right? If the year folder is available or not available, anyways after this activity we would have the year folder, right? Now here in the path exist, we have to check for the month folder. Now a question arises, how can I check for the month folder? The same concept. This is the path, so I'll just maximize. Till this point you have the my document path TBMK0006, 2023, and now hit a comma. Inside that path, what do you want to check? The month. Same concept. Now dot date, whatever date you are today, dot year was giving you the year. So for month, just write here month. Again dot toString, because it is going to give you 11, 12, 13 like that, right? Not 13, sorry, 10, 11, 12. Dot toString. So it will check 2023 / 11, 12 and save. So this is going to check whether the month is available or not. So let's say I am rerunning this automation. The month folder is available or not, that will come here. I'll go to the properties, create a variable, Ctrl+K is month exist, right? That's the benefit of renaming the variable correctly. You don't have to worry about A, B, C and D, right? If I just write A, B, C here, nobody would understand, but right, this is very clear. Best practice. So once we have got that, then again the same concept, take the flow decision, drag and drop it here. Okay, if the month folder is already available, I'll go here and I'll take a log message activity, point it to the true branch. If it is not available, point it to the false branch like this. Okay, and here I would write an info label log, and I'll just mention that Mukesh, for you the month folder was available. Okay, and if it is not available in the this log message activity, in the false, I'll just say that month folder is not available, and I would just mention that I am just going here and creating the folder. Okay, so now to create the folder, I'll just again use an activity which is called create folder, drag and drop it here in the false part. Now it is asking me which folder you want to create. Exactly the same folder which we checked in the path. So I'll go here. Sometime it does not allow to copy, so I'll copy like this. Go back to the automation and here create folder. Just pass it here, right? Other benefit of using the rename activities, right? Here I am creating the folder year, so I can say that this is the create folder for month. Make your automation readable, guys, always. Okay, so till this point the month folder is also created. What is the next thing? The next thing is we need to check whether the date folder is available or not. The same concept, I'll just make it pretty quick now. I hope you guys understood the concept. Once the folder is created, then we check for the date. In here I'll say that this is for the path exist of the date. Go back here and open it. I am checking for the folder, and so till this point you have the month. Put a comma. How do you get the date? Same concept, right? Now dot now dot date, now dot date dot day, which will give you the current day, dot toString. Right now, if I show you this syntax for the first time, you might get confused, right, what you have written. But the beauty of coding is that once you keep writing this syntax in a step-by-step manner, it's very easy for you to understand, right? So I hope you agree with me. If that is the case, just let me know in the comments. And yeah, so path exist is here, and this one is for the date. I'll go to the properties, exist, Ctrl+K, and I'll say that is date exist. We need to write clean code always, and then we just take a flow decision, drag and drop it here, and if the date folder does not exist, we create it, right? So we'll put again a log message activity to the true part, log message activity to the false part, and In the true part, I'll mention that day folder exists. I'll go here, and in the false part, it's a info level log. I'll just mention day folder is not available. And if it is not available, then what we have to do is we simply have to create the folder. So I'll go here and I'll just use the activity, the same activity we have been using, right? So create folder, drag and drop it here. Which folder you want to create? Whatever you created, or sorry, whatever you are validating in the date, copy the same thing, pass it to the create folder of this guy and paste. And this would be your create folder for the date. Okay, so till this point we have created the folder till date, right? So now I hope you guys are understanding. We check the folder path, we check the year folder, we check the month folder, then we check the day folder, and if it is not available, we simply go and we create it, right? I'll save this and let's try to validate it. Okay, so as of now I only have the main folder. I do not have the year and everything created, right? So I'll go here and I'll simply say run the file. Okay, condition must be set for this one, right? So I think I forgot something. So here, right, we do not set the condition. That's what it is saying. So is date exist in the flow decision, right? How would this guy know, right, which thing I have to check? So that is date exist, right? Okay, I think I just missed the condition in one more place also. Okay, so here we are not checking, right? We just checked the variable and we didn't pass the variable to the flow decision. So this is for the month. So I just pass here is month exist. Save this, go here, run the file. You should always know how do you fix your issues, right? That's also a skill of an RPA developer. Completed successfully. Let's go to the output. Folder was available, year folder was not available, created the folder, month folder was not available, creating the folder, day folder was not available, right? And then it wouldn't have created it, right? Let's go to here. We can see that 2023, we are in the 11th month and today is 2nd, so this folder was created, right? If I just rerun this automation again, it should not create any of the folder, right? Because everything is available for today's date. Let's go to the output. Folder exists, year folder exists, month folder was available, day folder exists. Okay, so the folder of the date is also created. Okay, let me go back and we can see that here the folder is also created, right? Now the next task was for us to create a notepad file with the name of the date, time and the second steps, right? How do we do that? So I'll go here. Once the folder is created, if the folder is available, well and good. If it's not available, we go here, right? Now what we have to do, we have to create a file, right? So to create a file, we have an activity which is called create file. Same like create folder, you have something which is called create file. Drag and drop it here, and we have to create the file in both the scenarios. If the folder is also available, and if we create it, then also we have to create the file. Now inside create the file, it is asking us where is the file location and where is the file name, right? So your file would be exactly the date folder, right? So this would be the folder. So I'll just copy this complete path because we need to create the file inside the date folder. Go back, scroll down to the create file, open the activity. It is asking me, Mukesh, where is your file location? So I would say this is my file location. And if you notice, this is the same thing, my documents, folder name TBMK0006 2023, the month folder, the day folder, right? Now for the file name, we require the time, right? Hour, minutes and the seconds. How do we get that? So for that, let me go here and I want to show you something, right? I'll just put a breakpoint here and I'll put this in a debug mode breakpoint. Okay, because I want to access the immediate panel, I want to show you some logic, right, before we actually go and write this. So I'll just go here and I'll say debug the file. We want to have the time. How do we get the time? So this is an immediate panel, guys. You can use this panel to write such kind of expressions, right? So that you don't have to write the code, retest it again and again. Okay. So now to get the date. So first of all, I think people who didn't followed along me, how do I get this panel? You just run the automation in debug mode, put a breakpoint, and you can directly open the immediate panel like this from here. Okay. Now in the immediate panel, you can just use the anything, right? Any syntax. So for me, first I want to have the time. So how do we get the time? So we say now dot toString. Okay. So if I write now dot toString, let's see what do we get. So if I write now dot toString, I'll get the date and I'll get the time, but I'm also only interested in the time. So I'll say now dot time of day dot toString, right? Let's see what do we get, because I want to name it as the file. So now I am getting 10:32:09 and then I am getting a dot. But when I have to rename a file, in the file name we cannot have special character like these. So what I'll do is I'll replace the special characters like this colon, this dot with an underscore. And all of that we can do directly here as well to see whether it is working fine or not. So I'll say now dot time of day dot toString, right? That will give you the exact same thing which we have got at the top. Then I'll use a function which is replace, and I'll say replace the colon with a underscore, again put a dot replace, and replace also the dot with an underscore. Hit enter. So now this can be my file name, right? 10_33335076. You can ignore this part, that I'll strictly leave it to you. But for me, if I write this statement, I am getting this output, right? So that means I'll just copy this. I'll stop the workflow. And now when I was creating the folder here in the create folder, let me show it to you guys. So when I am creating the file inside that folder, this is the folder path. The file name would be this, and this is the same thing which I have got from the immediate panel, right? And after that I want to have a .txt, so I'll hit a plus and I'll just write .txt. So that would create a notepad file for me. This is how you create the expression, and this is how you create the files. Now to write the data in the file, I'll use an activity called write, and you would have something which is called write text file. Drag and drop it here. If you go to the properties, you have to provide now the file name, which is the complete destination file, or you can also provide the iLocal resource. Now what is this iLocal resource and how do I get it? So when you go to the create file activity, in the properties, the output, you would see there is something which is called iLocal resource. So now this output file, I'll hit Ctrl+K and I say this is my output file, and this is of iLocal resource. So when I am writing the data, I'll say that the file you will get from the output file. That's it. And now it is asking me what do you want to write it in the text. So here you just specify what do you write. So I say that this is for weekly challenge TBMK0006, whatever, right? Submitted by Mukesh Kala. Okay. And if I run this automation, the file should be created with that text. Okay, let's test it. So as of now, we only have the 2023, this folder, right? So I'll go here and I'll say run the file. and in the output I can see that everything was available, right? So let's go to the folder directly. In the 2 we have this notepad file 103740. If I open this file, this is for the weekly challenge just created, right? Now let's try to test one more scenario. I'll keep the month, but I'll delete the date folder. I'll go here and I'll say run the file, and inside the 2 now I have this date which is automatically this file, which is automatically created with this thing, right? But what happens if everything is there and if I rerun this automation, it should create a new file, right? So I'll go here and I'll say run the file, and here we can see that we have got a new file with the same text, right? So basically this completes our complete automation of writing and creating the dynamic folder structure, right? Now I'll go back to the create folder. This was the flowchart, right, which we have just created. I'll just do an exception handling, right click, surround with try catch, and I'll do an exception handling here, and I'll just log a error message. Okay, and in the exception I would say this is an error, and whatever exception we are going to get, I'll just log that message here, exception dot toString. In case you are a beginner and you don't understand exception handling, guys, we have dedicated playlist explaining exception handling both in English and Hindi language. You would find the link of the videos in the description. Okay, so this is completed now, and in the arguments I can see that we need to pass this thing, but as of now it's hard coded. So let's go to the main, and in the main workflow, get environment folder, this will get the dynamic path for my documents that we have just seen, right? I'll just go here and I'll just say run the file. I just want to see, right, whether it's getting printed correctly or not. So in the output I can see that path my document is C users Mukesh OneDrive and my documents. So this works perfectly for me. Okay, now all we have to do is just connect these two flows. How do you do that? Go to the project, drag and drop this guy after this, get the my document paths, log that path, create the folder, and this complete structure works, right? Now in the import arguments, if you remember, we have hard coded, so no hard coding here. So whatever we get from the output, let me check where I am storing this in str my document path. So I'll go here and I'll just mention here str my document path, so that way it becomes dynamic. Now for the folder name, this folder name is as of now hard coded. You can keep it in an asset in orchestrator, you can read it from the config file anyway, right? The idea is to make it configurable, that I'll leave it for your implementation, right? We can completely write this automation in RE framework, as I previously discussed that we can use RE framework for a linear process. This is a kind of a linear process executing only once. I have this video where I'm explaining how do you convert a robotics enterprise framework to a linear process, right? In case you're absolute beginner and want to know more about this, you can watch this video and that will give you a complete framework. Also the framework is also uploaded on the channel, right? So this was the solution for the this week problem statement TBMK0006. So now that was the first solution. The second solution which I want to share is one of the winning solution. We will announce the winners on Monday. So this is the solution. Okay, so if you see here what is happening, first of all we are just getting the my document folder path with the help of an activity which is called get document folder, which is what I have explained in the flowchart solution as well. Okay, once you get the document folder, the automation is checking whether the folder is available or not. If the folder is not available, it will simply go and create the folder. So this is where you are creating the parent folder TBMK0006, right? Now here if you notice that this solution is not built on flowchart, however it is just built on sequence, and you have only one logic which is called check directory exist single time. So what this solution is doing is whatever date you have, right, which is this guy datetime.now.toString, it is splitting it into years, month and date, So the output would be 2023, let's say November, which is 11th, and the 2nd November 02. Now what would happen, that this automation will keep passing that date one by one. First it will pass 2023, it will check whether that folder is available. Next it will pass the November, and next it will pass the date, which is 02. And if you notice here, all of this is happening inside a for each loop. So for each to create folder. So if you see here, the logic to check directory exist and write the email is written only once, right? And based on whatever we are passing from the input, this folder is getting evaluated. And in case the folder is already created, it's showing me that your folder is already existing, right? A pretty new different approach with the help of all the proper exception handling. Logging is also there, new approach. So this is what I wanted to share, right? Both of these solution would be again uploaded to our website mukeshkala.com. You just go to challenges, you can download the solution and you can refer it yourself. Okay, so these were the two solutions which I wanted to share with you guys today. Now, in case if you have any more questions, any more doubts, feel free to write me in the comments, or you can also drop me an email as well, right? I would appreciate your feedback on these challenges, on the solution. How do you like it? Are you liking the challenges? If you have a challenge which you want to come up and you want to add, feel free to write an email to me, and happy to sponsor a challenge from your name as well. Okay, so that is all for this video. I would like to wrap this video here. I hope this was insightful. If you have any more questions, any more doubts, feel free to write me in the comments, or you can also drop me an email as well. I would appreciate your feedback on the video, and tell me in the comments what would be the next topic or next video you want to see. So with that, I would wrap this video here. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please do subscribe to the channel, and happy automation.